I now continue my reading of Pope Benedict XVI's encyclical letter entitled Caritas in Veritate, which is to say, Integral Human Development in Charity and Truth. The general heading of this first chapter is the message of Pope Paul VI Encyclical Populorum Progressio. I now read numbers 18, 19 and 20, which concludes this first chapter. Number 18. Besides requiring freedom, integral human development as a vocation also demands respect for its truth. The vocation to progress drives us to do more, know more, and have more in order to be more. But herein lies the problem. What does it mean to be more? Paul VI answers the question by indicating the essential quality of authentic development. It must be integral, that is, it has to promote the good of every man and of the whole man. Amid the various competing anthropological visions put forward in today's society, even more so than in Paul VI's time, the Christian vision has the particular characteristic of asserting and justifying the unconditional value of the human person and the meaning of his growth. The Christian vocation to development helps to promote the advancement of all men and of the whole man. As Pope Paul VI wrote, "What we hold important is man, each man and each group of men, and we even include the whole of humanity." In promoting development, the Christian faith does not rely on privilege or positions of power, nor even on the merits of Christians, even though these existed and continue to exist alongside their natural limitations, but only on Christ, to whom every authentic vocation to integral human development must be directed. The gospel is fundamental for development, because in the gospel, Christ, in the very revelation of the mystery of the Father and of his love, fully reveals humanity to itself. Taught by her Lord, the Church examines the signs of the times and interprets them, offering the world what she possesses as her characteristic attribute, a global vision of man and of the human race. Precisely because God gives a resounding yes to man, man cannot fail to open himself to the divine vocation to pursue his own development. The truth of development consists in its completeness. If it does not involve the whole man and every man, it is not true development. This is the central message of Populorum Progressio, valid for today and for all time. Integral human development on the natural plane, as a response to a vocation from God the Creator, demands self-fulfillment in a transcendent humanism which gives to man his greatest possible perfection. This is the highest goal of personal development. The Christian vocation to this development therefore applies to both the natural plane and the supernatural plane, which is why, when God is eclipsed, our ability to recognize the natural order, purpose, and the good begins to wane. Number 19. Finally, the vision of development as a vocation brings with it the central place of charity within that development. Paul VI, in his encyclical letter Populorum Progressio, pointed out that the causes of underdevelopment are not primarily of the material order. He invited us to search for them in other dimensions of the human person. First of all, in the will, which often neglects the duties of solidarity. Secondly, in thinking, which does not always give proper direction to the will. Hence, in the pursuit of development, there is a need for the deep thought and reflection of wise men in search of a new humanism which will enable modern man to find himself anew. But that is not all. Underdevelopment has an even more important cause than lack of deep thought. It is the lack of brotherhood among individuals and peoples. Will it ever be possible to obtain this brotherhood by human effort alone? As society becomes ever more globalized, it makes us neighbors, but does not make us brothers. Reason, by itself, is capable of grasping the equality between men and of giving stability to their civic coexistence, but it cannot establish fraternity. This originates in a transcendent vocation from God the Father, who loved us first, teaching us through the Son what fraternal charity is. Paul VI, presenting the various levels in the process of human development, placed at the summit, after mentioning faith, unity in the charity of Christ, who calls us all to share as sons in the life of the living God, the Father of us all. Number 20. These perspectives, which Populorum Progressio opens up, remain fundamental for giving breathing space and direction to our commitment for the development of peoples. Moreover, Populorum Progressio repeatedly underlines the urgent needs for reform, and in the face of great problems of injustice in the development of peoples, it calls for courageous action to be taken without delay. This urgency is also a consequence of charity in truth. It is Christ's charity that drives us on. Caritas Christi urget nos, in 2 Corinthians chapter 5 verse 14. The urgency is inscribed not only in things, is not derived solely from the rapid succession of events and problems, but also from the very matter that is at stake, the establishment of authentic fraternity. The importance of this goal is such as to demand our openness to understand it in depth and to mobilize ourselves at the level of the heart, so as to ensure that current economic and social processes evolve towards fully human outcomes. In the next segment, I shall begin at number 21, which begins chapter 2 of the Encyclical.